I started having a problem of waking up. So it's not really waking up, it's getting out of bed. So it was a problem of getting out of bed, not necessarily getting up, you know. So I would wake up at around 4:30 a.m. or around 5 a.m. because I had used to that thing of waking up in the morning. So now I'd sit there and contemplate whether I need to do this or not. I'd even, convince myself that I need to just take a nap. Maybe I'll feel better when I wake up and I'll bath and go to work. And then one day I woke up, I bathed. I didn't take my laptop with. So I went to work. I didn't even dress in. So I used to dress like this every day. So
it comes a long way, yeah?
Yeah. So even now,
look, man, I'm very excited to actually have you in this platform. After having to actually, explore some of the channels that you've been featured on, some of the media outlets as well, and reading about your story really made me somehow, realize that I need some kind of a network, or to have you on my show. So that you can be able to, tell a story or maybe share a little bit of your journey. I know you are a property investor, and I know you, you hold about four qualifications, and one of them being in accounting, and that basically puts you in a position where you say you are an accountant by profession. But firstly, before I get through that point where you have to introduce yourself and maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself, I really want to understand the transitional process from the academic side to the business side. How was that, for you as an entrepreneur?
Well, it was I must admit it was a very scary move from my side. It took a lot of guts. It takes someone that is very brave to leave a well-paying job to start something from scratch. So, but I've always been somehow an entrepreneur throughout my life. So I had to grow up too fast than my peers. Mainly because I was poorer than all of my friends. I grew up poor. Squatter camp, raised by a single parent, so I couldn't afford much. My mother couldn't afford much for us. So as a result of that, I had to somehow find a way, to hustle here and there, sell sweets there, be a cameraman there, be a machonista there, sell coal sometimes.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I went into, stick pack packaging, the packaging business. I then went to printing at some point, and then ultimately I went to car selling business, that's where I made most of my money there. And the transition, and I was still employed. When I was in a car business, I was employed. So I then stopped it at some point, and then I went into business full time. But the transition between the two, it was a very scary move. Right? It took a lot of guts. I mean, I'm a business accountant by profession, as you said. So it took me, to consider all the upside and the downside. So let me illustrate on that. What is if you are earning, let's say you are earning 60,000 Rand per month, as an example, right? So I asked myself, what is the downside to me leaving my job? So the downside is me getting no income, which makes it, the highest downside of me leaving my job is up to 60,000. But what is the upside of me leaving my job? It is infinite. So opportunities are infinite. So
Sure.
if this works out, then I'm definitely going to be in a way better position than I am today. So I had to weigh these two to say, okay, the downside is up to 60,000 Rand per month. And then the upside is infinite. I can make $1 million, I can make 2 million, I can make $1 billion, I can make $1 trillion. Who knows? So I had to compare the two to say, okay, cool, here's a downside, here's the upside. And I had to take a brave move to say, look, I am quitting and I'm going to do my own.
Yeah. And tell me about that process of deciding that, I am, because for me, it's basically being in a position where you have to, it's like a do or die type of situation, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously you have people in your life, you have a family, you have friends, also colleagues that you are working with, they know that, there's Lebogang and, he's probably good in his job and all that. And then all of a sudden decides to, you know what, I'm gonna go from corporate to the business side. Tell me about your network at that moment, your surroundings. And when I say your surroundings, I'm talking about the people that, were in your life, relationship wise, family wise, colleagues, your environment, yeah, and your network. How was the response from that kind of network?
Okay, before I get to that, let me also paint another picture as to my workplace, right? So because when you're employed, you're given what you call a job description, right? So this is what you are hired to do. And then this is, you only do from this point to that point. From this point onwards, there's someone superior than you that has to take over, right? So now me being me, I'm a high performer, right? So I always ensure that I overachieve and over deliver at everything that I do. So I grew up working hard. For me to get those qualifications, it was not easy, right? So me now building up to now being employed, it was through hard work and persistence and consistency and, fighting hard to get to where I am. But yes, now, because I've done it so long, so now it's part of who I am, right? So I get to the job, it only requires average results. So I end up doing over and above what I'm required to do. So at certain instances, then I overstep now my boundaries by doing what now my superiors are supposed to be doing. So, the big boss comes back and he commends me from what I did, but at the same time, he doesn't want to offend his managers now. He's trying to play it safe. You can tell that, okay, he's proud of what I did. He does say that, but at the same time, he doesn't know how to tell me to say, look, you don't have to overstep your boundaries. But at the same time, he's glad that I did what I did.
Yeah.
So it is frustrating to, you just being yourself and trying to improve yourself and learn more and increase and do better than what is required of you. But at the same time, you're stepping on other people's toes and you get into trouble for something that is not wrongdoing. It is wrong, but it's not wrong. I don't know if it makes sense to you.
I understand. Yeah.
So as a result, I then decided, you know what, I think being boxed is not part of who I am, because I'm used to, going all out, going and doing everything that I can, to make sure that I achieve and I do and I over deliver on everything that I'm required to do. So that's part of who I am. Then that was a very frustrating process in my life, and I got a couple of promotions there. Then I started being hated and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So now you've reached almost the ceiling of your career, and you're still very young. I mean, I was only 25 when I finally quit my job. I'm almost at the ceiling in terms of the company that I worked for, because I was working for a medium-sized company, right? And then I switched jobs. I went to Old Mutual first. I got there. Now I started working on building my business by, I created what you call a financial model. So a financial model is basically a business plan, but in a numbers format, whereby you are now creating a business plan, but you are explaining everything, the market analysis, the returns, everything literally is now explained in a numbers format. Because I'm a business accountant, I've done that for a couple of clients. So I was doing that for my business now. So I built that when I was there. And one day I woke up and I decided, you know what? So I started speaking about quitting. So when I went to Old Mutual, I gave myself 2 years. I said, I'm only giving me 2 years to do it.
Yes.
But then I got there, I didn't see myself beyond, the time that I've served at Old Mutual. So I decided, you know what, I now need to implement what I've always wanted to do. So yes. I've been speaking about quitting my job for quite a while with my family, with my friends, and our parents, the only thing that they knew is employment. That's all they knew. I mean, my mother knew employment more than anything, right? So she thought, because you are educated, all you need is get a good job that is well paying. You already are almost at the peak of your career. I mean, you are earning over 60,000 rand per month, and
you're earning quite good, eh?
Yeah, you're earning quite good. And now you want to ruin all of that by going to start something that you don't even know it's going to succeed.
Yeah.
Right. But the desire for me to do my own thing and step out of the box that I've been boxed all the time, it became more than the fear itself and the fear of fear. So we have this syndrome as people, we fear. So I overcame that by now focusing more on the desire, the goal, the dream that I had, because I was not married at the time. I didn't have a child at the time. I mean, my child is only 6 months old as of today.
Oh, nice, man.
7 months. So I didn't have, of my own, I didn't really have much of responsibilities. The only financial responsibilities that I had, it was by supporting at home, because I grew up poor, so I had to support at home. So that was the only financial responsibilities that I had. But I had to decide for myself to say, look, I need to make sure that I provide a better and greater future for me. So what's the point of doing something, waking up in the morning to do something that you hate doing? I don't want to live this kind of life for the next 40 years, until I retire. Because I mean, if I was only 25 at the time, and what's the normal retirement age is 65. So that was still a good 40 years that I had to face, for myself, and say, yo, look, you're going to live this kind of life. If you don't get out of it and create the one that you like, you're going to be stuck in this for the next 40 years.
Yeah. And
then I started speaking to friends and family. Everyone was against it, literally everyone. But then I decided, yeah. But then I decided, look, this is they have their own view about what I have going on and the career that I've built so far. They believe that this is a good career and I should just stick to it. And on the other hand, I believed, look, I am not going to be boxed for the rest of my life. I need to step out of this because all I've always wanted is to be an entrepreneur. As much as I studied finance and accounting and taxation. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur because I have studied people, and all the people that I've studied in my life, I've realized that those that are successful are those that are in business. A salary, you can end up earning a couple of millions in the form of a salary, but it's the highest tax income currently in the market, whether irrespective of where you live in the world. So that is the highest tax type of income. So I mean, in South Africa, we are taxed up to 45%. So that is your income tax. Plus, over and above that, you still pay valued added tax, of which it's another 15%. So that puts you close to about 43% that you're paying just to the government. So you're actually earning to pay to work for the government because you're getting less than 50% that you need to spend on you and on the things that you really want to spend on. So I looked at that as well as I was like, okay, cool. Now, on the day I quit my job, I remember it very well, like it was it happened yesterday. So
tell me about it. Tell me about it.
I woke up in the morning. So it started because of this burning desire of me leaving my job. It started daunting me literally every day. So I would wake up at 4 a.m., but I'd only get out of bed around 6, 6:30. Because you're sitting down there, you're just contemplating, do I really need to do this?
And before you get there, now that you're mentioning that you actually had a problem of waking up and all that, right? I've had a situation where a lot of people somehow share that similar kind of a situation. But before I give you that platform, ladies and gentlemen, we are with Lebogang Lebepe. He's a property investor, entrepreneur. He grew up in Tembisa. I told you guys he holds 4 qualifications, and one of it is in business accounting. And he's the founder of Bees House. And I wanted actually to come to the business side of things, but I'll give you a moment to actually share that story with me because I think it's very interesting, and I really want to hear it.
Cool. So I've started the desire of me now quitting my job. It started daunting me every single day. So I started having a problem of waking up. So it's not really waking up, it's getting out of bed. So it was a problem of getting out of bed, not necessarily getting up, So I would wake up at around 4:30 a.m. or around 5 a.m. because I had used to that thing of waking up in the morning. So now I'd sit there and contemplate whether I need to do this or not. I'd even, convince myself, look, let me just take a nap. Maybe I'll feel better when I wake up and I'll bath and go to work. And then one day I woke up, I bathed, I didn't take my laptop with. So I went to work. I didn't even dress in. So I used to dress like this every day. So
it comes a long way, yeah?
Yeah. So even now, I still look. I try to mix it a bit, but I still can't. I prefer,
just style.
Yeah, literally every day, especially when I'm going to work, because it puts me into that, atmosphere of me working. So I then decided, what, I'm not gonna wear formal today. I'm gonna wear semi-casual, and then I'll go to work. And I went there.
You are too rebellious, eh?
I drove there, and then I remember going, office to office. I sat at my desk there, And I looked around and I started questioning myself, what am I still doing here? What does this mean to me? And I struggled finding answers to those questions to say, what am I still doing here? You know, I tried convincing myself otherwise, but the question still remained, what are you doing here? Is this what you really want to do for the next couple of years? And I couldn't find answers to that. I went to my manager's office, asked him strange questions such as, what do you think of me as an employee?
I swear that day they thought this guy he smoked or something, you know.
Yeah, and I asked him, what kind of value do I bring to this company? You know, without me, if I were to leave next year, what would happen to me? And I realized that I don't really mean much to these people. You know, all I am is just, you know, a human capital. Yes, I'm an asset to them because it's human capital. But as soon as I'm gone, they'll find a replacement with no question asked.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I realized. I went around, I looked into boardrooms. I remember I sat at one of the boardrooms that we had there for a good 30 minutes, just looking around and asking myself, what am I still doing here? And guess what? The next day, when I woke up at 4 a.m., I drafted it. I didn't stay the whole day, by the way, and that particular day at the office. Actually, during lunchtime, I drove back home. And the following day, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I drafted a letter using their laptop and put their laptop in the laptop bag, took everything out of the laptop bag and put it in there. And then I handed over my resignation the next day with immediate effect. Felt good for felt good for good 5 seconds. After that 5 seconds, now I became scared.
Yeah.
Because now the reality is now I don't have a job. I don't know how am I going to pay for my car, the house that I stayed in, petrol, food. Now, medical aid is gone. I don't have a benefit of medical aid now. So I remember when I went, I told my mother that I quit my job. And the first question she asked is, how are you going to afford to pay your bills? And how are you going to survive? And I said, look, I'll make a plan. I'll make a plan. Then that's how I got to resign. And the rest is history, as they always say.
I mean, this show is basically centered around one thing, right? And what we're hoping to achieve is to basically tell stories of people like you, with obviously one objective to inspire other people, but also to recognize you and to show you that I know at that moment when you decided to quit your job and you know, do your own thing, there was, for me, I believe that there was a little voice that was always nagging each and every time and be like, Lebogang, this is the direction that you need to take. This is the direction that you need to take. But it took long for you to actually come and realize that, you know what, after all this, whatever that happens, I'm going this direction regardless, you know, and you just explained right now that immediately after you quit your job, there was this kind of a fear that stepped in, you know, and you know, and also the words of your mother, and she was logical. You cannot blame her. She was logical. I mean, how are you planning to actually cover your bills at that moment? Your living standard, how are you going to be able to maintain it? From a logical perspective, it doesn't make sense. But when you have a vision and when you trust in whatever that you do, I mean, you're literally going to go way beyond than, you know, what people can actually anticipate. But I want to come to the current moment. Tell me about Bees House.
Bees House is a property development and investment company. So it was created mainly to solve problems. So the reason why I highlight that is because every business must solve a problem. It exists because it solves a problem. It serves a certain purpose, right? So that's why people pay you for doing what you do. It's because you're solving a certain problem. So with us, we are solving two problems. Number one, it's an accommodation problem. And then number two, it's the access into property investment, particularly property development market. All right, let me elaborate. The first thing first, which is accommodation problem. What do I mean by that? Let me ask you this question. When you're in the township, what are your options? It's either you stay in a back room or you go stay at home. But what if you are like me? You don't have a home. You grew up in a squatter camp. It's an informal settlement. You don't have proper running water, electricity, or a toilet. So then, what are your options? It's either you are forced to go stay in that back room. If you don't want that kind of setup, then you are forced to go out of the townships to go look for a preferred accommodation. But yes, unfortunately, it comes at a premium, of which now, if you are still new in the job market, the statistics, they even tell us that over 75% of the population of South Africa, they earn less than 15,000 rand per household, not even per individual.
Yes.
So it's unfortunate that if you, let's say, for instance, you are earning 15,000 rand a month and you decide to come stay in Midrand, for instance, then you're paying 8,000-9,000 rand per month in terms of rent. There's still rates and taxes, electricity and water. Plus, you still have transport and food to pay for. So if you have a car, then you're suffocating financially, right? Yeah. So that's why you end up having stigmas such as Midrand people don't have furniture. I'm sure you are very familiar with that.
Hey, my man, talking about that, I was speaking to somebody, yesterday, and we were talking about just the standard of living, and how our people are trapped within this whole brand consumption thing. And I studied communication, and we had this concept called conspicuous consumption. Right. So basically it's that of saying that, you are attracted, or you seem to be very attracted to stuff that you cannot even afford, so we were discussing this model of a way of living that even billionaires, really, if you check it, people who have billionaires in their assets, who have billions in their assets, really their standard of living, you would be shocked to find out how they live, to find out how they spend their money, to find out how, they just their general life. You would be shocked. And then you look at the average person who earns 7,000, who earns 15,000, and how they live. You literally even get so frustrated and be like, why can't this person really understand the money system? From a Bees House perspective, and from you as an entrepreneur, how do you then come into really add value in that direction? Because I feel that if you are in the property space, you somehow, people may not really understand that yes, it's a business, and you earn profit and all that, but you're also saving people. You are saving people. And in a process of saving people, then for me, it's a question of saying, how do you make sure that, because people don't earn the same amount of money, but with on the property level, then how do you make sure that even the person who is earning less is able to actually acquire a property, that they can afford, without really getting into something that they cannot really be able to afford, in future?
So we have created our own ecosystem. I'll still explain to say we are solving an accommodation problem by bringing. So we are bridging the gap between the low end market and the medium to high end market.
Yes.
By doing so, how we're doing it is by bringing these lifestyle living apartments in and around townships at the fraction of the cost. So we're making them very affordable. We are actually restoring our people's dignity by giving them an accommodation that is comfortable, secured, but yet affordable for them to live in. So I mean, our properties, our rental, they start from 2,500 rand per studio apartment, and this is like luxury accommodation. The lifestyle centers that you would find in Sandton, in Bryanston, in Fourways, in Midrand, in Kempton Park, we are bringing exactly that, but we are doing it at a fraction of the cost. So, and once we've done that, by developing, we are obviously creating jobs. So by creating jobs, you are now affording people an income. Then you're also developing an affordable accommodation where they can live comfortably, yes, in a dignified space. And then once they have an income, they now have a comfortable space to live in. Then we also offer them an opportunity to also invest in some of our developments and
nice.
Own ownership. Then as a result, we have a whole ecosystem that we've created that ensures that not only do people earn income, they also have a dignified space to live in. And once they've achieved that, they also have an investment vehicle that will also cater for their needs, that breaks the barrier to entry into the property investment, particularly the property development market, at the fraction of the cost. By doing so, I mean, from as little as 50,000 rand, people can invest in some of our property portfolio and be able to earn rental income from that. It's not much, but also it's not much to invest into it. So we're breaking that barrier to entry, and we are also making sure that we are affording people a comfortable, secured, dignified space for them to live in. I mean, our complexes, the ones that we're currently busy developing, they have fiber connection, they have DSTV plug and play, they have a backup system, they have access control, security gate, guard 24/7 at the gate, surveillance cameras, underground parking, and laundry services. I mean, this is lifestyle living apartments that you find in affluent areas. We're bringing it closer to our people at the fraction of the cost, and ensuring that they can afford it, because there's a vetting system that goes into that to ensure that the tenants that get into our apartment, they really can afford it. We don't want anyone forcing things and suffocating themselves financially, living our developments.
Yeah. No, man, I should say, my brother, you are you are doing God's work. If I should put it that way.
That's exactly our aim.
Yeah, and nowadays I believe that we can serve in different ways. But primarily, I believe that everybody, it is just within our human nature, and I think it's a universal purpose of each and every soul that is alive in this time to serve. You just have to find a way, a path, a direction to say, I am serving, but I'm serving in this direction. You're doing great work. You've done great work. And that it's undeniable. I mean, for a person at your age right now, to be referenced with the amount of work that you did. I don't want to say the amount of success, but I want to say the amount of work, that you have done, because for me, it's not about acquiring, but it's all about serving, so I'm measuring people's success of how much they have served, not how much they have acquired. And I feel, I'm a person of energy. So the energy that I get from you, it's humility, it's consistency, it's discipline, and it's all about doing it for the people. You understand? Because someone would have taken a different direction and be like, but I want to focus on this direction and all that, and it's not a triple bottom line kind of an organization. But for me, you serve the people, and by serving the people, you serve the planet. And eventually you make the profit. But you can see that the profit is the last element of the business. So for me, it's God's work, my brother. And I wish we had more time where we can actually discuss a lot, because I have a lot in my mind. And as you speak, I want to know more. But eventually I hope I will get to set my foot at the head office of B's house. Eventually, who knows? Maybe I might drop a little bit of an investment, Nyana, and see how I can actually, be on that investment portfolio.
That is very much welcome, my brother. I mean, here at Biz House, our aim is to restore our people's dignity. I'm actually very glad that we're even speaking about this in an Africa month. So this is Africa month. Africa as a whole is the richest continent in the whole world. In the universe, we are actually the richest continent in the world. So in terms of resources, in terms of skills, in terms of a whole lot of other things, right? So as Africans, so we have been excluded by the system for the longest time. So it's time that we don't depend on I have nothing against politicians, but we don't depend on politicians to give us things. I mean, we ourselves, we are responsible for our own lives.
I agree.
So by taking charge of our own lives and saying, look, if it is to be, it is up to me. So making sure that we ourselves, we take charge of our lives and we take a direction that we actually want our lives to take. And we ensuring as a result to say, look, this is where I want to go. This is where I am. This is what I have. Start here. I'm going to start here where I am, right where I am. I'm going to start with what I have. Then I'm going to move forward towards where I want to be. And as a result, guess what? Success is inevitable.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful closing. Look, I'm looking forward to actually extending this conversation, but we'll see how the logistics turn up. But overall, man, thank you very much for giving me your time. I know you are a busy man. I had to speak to the lady who actually facilitated this conversation somehow, and I would like to also give a shout out to her for actually connecting me with you, and able to, yeah. So thank you very much, man. I hope you actually learned something within this conversation, and I hope everyone who's watching actually will, have something to take home. Thank you very much, man.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Great one. Have a great one.
Cheers.
Sure.